spoke yesterday about the current culture within the Metropolitan Police as exposed by an investigation by the IOPC, uncovering what they call systemic misogyny, racism and homophobia, with both Priti Patel and Dick expressing their alleged concern for the behaviour of what Priti Patel said was from specific officers. Back in the wake of Sarah Everard investigation, the poisonous dwarf, Cressida Dick, claimed that there was only a few rotten apples within the force. For a long time, the public have been calling for Cressida Dick to resign, but she has adamantly refused to do so. However, I think in light of this new investigation report, there is little she can do to get out of this. The Home Secretary told MPs, after being dragged before them, that the appalling comments reflected problems within the culture of the Metropolitan Police and were not isolated one-off instances, adding, "We have seen now too many times, too many instances where in policing we just see the most appalling behaviours, the most appalling conduct. I also think it shows a failure of leadership in some quarters." Asked by the Commons Home Affairs Committee chair if that included Dame Cressida, Ms Patel said it's across the board, as she warned that there needed to be major significant improvements to be made within the force. However, she made clear that she had confidence in the Commissioner to make the necessary changes to tackle such unacceptable behaviours. And unfortunately, this, hit people, is where the issues lie. Too many incidents under Dick's watch, and yet Priti Patel is still holding her up instead of removing and replacing her. And we mustn't also forget the members of the police force are complicit even if they haven't said anything derogatory by simply sitting back and allowing it to happen. The culture, as we know, in the force is one of we must stick together and back each other up at all costs. It's us against the public, the thin blue line and all that, which has created an environment where other officers allegedly feel that they can't speak up. But I'm afraid I have to call bullshit on that. Because even if you feel you can't speak to your supervisor, there are other ways of making reports, be it directly to the IOPC, to a neighbouring force, or even simply speaking out about it in public, anonymously. I don't know, maybe by calling in one of my live streams or contacting a news outlet. There are ways this behaviour can be called out. The fact that people fail to speak out, and I say fail rather than are scared to speak out, is because those at the top are too happy for it to happen. Shit rolls downhill, and the way police officers learn their behaviour is by watching and learning from their superiors. Sue Fish, a former Nottingham police chief, said that officers who speak out can be abruptly moved to other police forces without their consent, and she warned of a laddie culture in policing, which means misogyny and sexual advances are tolerated. But I find myself asking why she didn't take steps to highlight and put a stop to it herself. I mean, she was hardly going to be moved to another force. She was a chief fucking constable. She said the culture doesn't call anything out. That culture of fitting in, of belonging, is so powerful that stepping outside is career and social suicide. Officers often socialise together, she said. They play sports together. They're in the same five-a-side football team. A lot of their lives are entwined with other police officers. Now, this is something I have said already and many times. It's a brotherhood, a cult. It's them against us, and when one of their own goes against the grain, they're treated like the rest of us and not part of their gang. Fish, who alleges she herself was sexually assaulted by male colleagues on 2 separate occasions, explained speaking out against fellow officers can mean saying goodbye to many aspects of your social life, as she labelled the culture of policing as highly competitive. But again, why hasn't this been dealt with before, especially when we have high-ranking officers like Sue Fish saying she knew about it but did nothing? I might also add that maybe if senior officers didn't go get pissed up with their subordinates and hang around together, there might be a degree more of respect. I mean, I might have had a quick drink with people who used to work for me in the past, but I never became BFFs with them. There has to be a line that isn't crossed, and that line in the police force has become lost. Let's be honest here too, the focus is on the Metropolitan Police, but this is a culture across the country within law enforcement, and personally I think there should be an independent psych evaluation done of every police constable at least once a year to determine whether they're fit to remain a constable, with the psych's decision being final. take it out of the hands of their buddies in the force to deal with, as it's certainly not being dealt with. The worst part is no one is really talking about how this mentality and behaviour isn't confined to the police station. It spills out onto the streets and into every interaction police have with members of the public. Priti Patel told the committee that there are lots of issues. It's not straightforward with the Metropolitan Police, and there are lots of issues there where we need to see major significant improvements. Culture, delivery, accountability and protecting the streets. Confirming her confidence in the poisonous dwarf, Priti Patel said, "I'm confident in her and her work, but that also means that change is required." However, I wonder, personally, where this confidence comes from, especially when Dick was written an open letter pre her extension as Met Commissioner in 2017, calling for her to resign by high-profile signatories, including innocent public figures who were falsely accused of sex abuse, presiding over a culture of incompetence and cover-up. Despite this encyclopedia of shame, Dick has now sent in detectives to investigate Partygate, where any of the people involved deemed to have broken the laws will simply get a pathetic £100 fine. Not exactly enough to cover the costs of the investigation, but a priceless bit of virtue signalling. It's also emerged that 30-year-old PC James Goodchild from Charing Police Station, who is currently under investigation for sexual harassment of a colleague, threatened to murder her and 2 other officers if they came to his house, and said he would die before going to prison. Goodchild is alleged to have said this to a sergeant who called him to discuss his upcoming misconduct hearing that's related to the current investigation and allegations of bullying and rape threats. Goodchild was found guilty of sending by public communication network an offensive, indecent, obscene or menacing message at a trial at Hendon Magistrates Court on the 8th of January 2019. He was fired by the Met Police and handed a restraining order, but is still awaiting his misconduct hearing, for what that's worth. Very big thank you to channel supporters, especially these guys. Your support is truly appreciated. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.